from Jesus when he's being addressing the religious leaders. He says, let me get context here. Do you say of him who the Father consecrated and sent into the world, you are blaspheming? So they're accusing Jesus of blaspheming the religious leaders. And he's saying to them, you're accusing me, who the Father sent into the world, is blaspheming because I said I am the Son of God. If I am not doing the works of my Father, do not believe me. But if I do them, even though you do not believe me, believe the works that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I am in the Father. Christianity doesn't say, check your mind at the door and just go by faith. It is impossible to please God without faith because he's invisible and he wants to see the trust in the relationship. But to know God is ever present because guess what he uses to judge the world without excuse? His creation, which is the topic of our show. Who made all this stuff? And if you have creation, you must have a creator. So we know there is a creator. And Jesus is saying here that you may know I'm from him and you may believe. So knowing and believing are different, but they're also work together in tandem. Just like I know there's a creator for the creation, but who is it? Which one is it? This is why I got to start praying and asking God from the outside to reveal himself to me. So yes, I know God and I believe in God. And I walk by faith when I don't see things because he's been trustful from the beginning. If you were to say, Brian, that I disagree with that, I'm okay. But you went a step too far, like Adam, and you said that no one can know. That's an absolute that Scripture denies.
A fact.
He didn't say no one can know
Then I rest
God.
my case. I rest my case. Right there.
I lay out the fact. Nobody can know.
The plan.
Jesus.
That's not true. That's not true.
Well, one second, one moment. Earlier on, Tent, I stated that we don't even know what the sun is. Never mind knowing who or what God is or why his plan is.
I don't know about that. But knowing God's plan is in Scripture, so I don't know where Brian going with that. I think Brian is basically saying you don't know the anatomy of God, or you don't know what God's thinking at that exact moment, or what. I mean, the plan is actually laid out in divine visions. So basically, Brian is saying he don't trust in those divine visions, like the divine vision that John on the Isle of Patmos had about Revelations, which is stated in Scripture in the book of Revelations. You can pretty much say it was a divine vision that Moses had in that Mount Sinai. Well, Moses actually talked to God, so in a burning bush. So I don't know how can you deny that one. There, you say Isaiah had a divine vision. So he's seen the glory of heaven itself. He pretty much he put it in Scripture that he really couldn't even define it. It was so beautiful, or it was just beyond anything that he's seen in physical nature. So, and then you had the Messiah himself, who said he was sent from God, or some people actually believe the Messiah to be God. But even if you don't, you could say that when the Messiah came down, that he was part of God's plan for him to come down and resurrect and die for our sins. So you can know the plan if that's what they're saying through Scripture. It's just whether or not you believe the Scripture to be true. So I don't know. But I don't know. Brian may be talking about two different things. Brian may be saying, well, you don't know God because you're not God himself. Like you can't know what God's going to do or who he is or because you're not him yourself. You're not physically there with him. So you're not spiritually there with him or something of that nature. So you're not in God's nature. God is beyond your nature. So there, how can you know something that is beyond your very existence? So say something like that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it with that one. Go from there.
And you tried to tell me that you did know what the sun was, and you just read out something from, I think it was Genesis or something.
According to Scripture.
hang on, Neil. I'm speaking to Tent. Okay? Yeah. I asked, Tent said that he knew what the sun was.
I do. I do.
Now, that was not true. You don't.
I do. It's a
You
light in the
describe
sky.
what you see like everyone else.
That's
You
what I
don't
know
what
about
the
it.
sun is. You don't know what the sun is comprised of. You don't know how
I
it
didn't
works.
say.
What it
I
really
didn't
is.
say.
You
I
don't
didn't
know.
say I knew the
You knew
composition.
what the sun is.
I didn't
Wow.
say.
Oh, God. Hold on, guys.
Brian,
Guys.
that's out of order.
Guys. Wow. When you open your mic, that's it. That's all we hear. Your distortion on your god-awful mic. Just so you know.
The composition of the sun is not revealed to me in scripture, but the purpose for the sun is it's the greater light to rule the day, and the light for the evening is the moon. I told you what I know from scripture, not the composition. Now, if the composition was in there, I would tell you that.
Yeah, but you told me you knew what the sun was. You don't.
I told you, and I'm telling you now.
But Brian,
doesn't matter where the description comes from. Just one second,
Brian,
Chocolate. Just leave me finish. Just a sentence. It doesn't matter where the description comes from. It is just a description. It is not information and knowledge on the composition and workings of that entity. That's my point.
Say composition now. Until now, composition comes into it. You said you don't know what the sun is.
You know what the sun is.
You said.
You knew the context.
Brian,
when I said that, you knew the context. Don't pretend you didn't know the context. Don't pretend you didn't know the context. I told you what I knew about the... Do not pretend.
Okay, both of you stop. Both of you stop. Stop.
Really?
Hello.
Reading
Hello. Can you stop?
No, I won't.
Can you stop?
No, he thinks he knows my motives.
Hello. You've offered to yield to Chocolate. He's patiently sitting while you bark through each other. So I'm just going to have to stop you and say, go ahead, Chocolate.
Okay. My slight disagreement with what Brian just kind of put on 10th is that, you're asking, oh, well, you don't know the composition. You don't know what it's made of. That wasn't really the statement, right? You asked him, what is the sun? Well,
no,
what is the sun?
Chocolate,
what is the sun?
Different than that. No, I stated that nobody knew what the sun was. And Tent said he knew what the sun was. Then he gave me a description. That's not knowing. That's describing what you're seeing. That's not knowing what the sun is, its workings, what it is. That was my point. He understood the context. I wasn't saying, does anyone know what that thing in the sky is? Because someone described what that is. That's a big light. Great. That is not knowing what the sun is.
I gave you
that was the context. The context was very specific.
And I gave you what I knew about it.
Right? Like, as far as our human experience on this earth, what is the sun? It is a light in the sky. He's not describing it. It's just, that's what it is.
But that is a description.
I mean, well, that's what it is.
I told you what I knew about it, and I was honest. And now you're accusing me of being dancing around something.
Yeah. I didn't ask for a description. I made the statement that nobody knows what the sun is.
And then it
was know it exists.
What it
you know the
like.
sun
Nobody
exists.
knows what the sun is. That was my exact. And you said you did know.
And if you would have said to me, okay, that's fine. Do you know what it's made out of? I would say no.
With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's extended after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams. Hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
That was a pretty interesting conversation. Just testing this live stream. But yeah. Oh boy. So that was a pretty interesting combo. I think they should have let Babu you on the panel for real. I don't know why they didn't. That would have been a whole lot smarter. Keyframe frequency for 4 seconds or less. Keyframes are not being set often enough. 16 often. Keyframe frequency is 3 seconds. No, 3 seconds. How you set that? Let's see if I can find. How do you set that? So I'm trying to figure out. I think I had to stop this stream in order to do this. I don't know. I had no clue. Let's see. "17 people was watching this debate." Maybe that's what's going on. I think I had to stop this stream in order to do this. Oh, wow. Let me see something. I don't know. I had no clue. Let's see. Oh well, we're gonna figure something out. Push me through the edge. 17 people was watching this debate. Maybe that's what's going on. I think I had to stop this stream in order to do this. Oh wow, let me see something. I don't know. I had no clue. Let's see. Oh well, we're gonna figure something out. Push me through the edge. 17 people watching this debate. Maybe that's what's going on. We're gonna bang out to some music real quick. Maybe figure some shit out. Stop this stream. Let me see something. I don't know.
I don't even know who I'm looking at right now.
I think this is the happiest I've ever baller after posting all of these.
Oh well, we're gonna figure something out. Push me through the edge. 17 people watching this debate. Maybe that's what's going on. We're gonna bang out to some music real quick. Maybe figure some shit out. Stop this stream. It said the audio went out on your kid with the SIG. How they do that one? How they do that one, man? Let's see if it's gonna go out on me now. It ain't go on me on that one. It ain't go out on me on that one too. All right. Yeah, we about to chill for a minute. Kid with the SIG, man. Audio went out on your boy for a minute. Yeah, we are live. Let me look at some Nathan Opie. All right. We about to kick it for a second, you know. Doing our thing. Chilling out for a second. This guy's a complete loser.
That's what I said. And I suggested to change his
Alright. I think I got something going on with this a little bit. System. I think I got a good understanding of it. So the desktop down a little bit. Let's start see how we gonna bang out now. All right, I think y'all can hear me a lot better now. All right, we about to get into it. I'm way behind on this Nathan Oakley, so if you're looking at it live, I'm behind. So
roll, and he agreed to change his role.
I'm about to drop a super chat though in here.
Absolutely.
Now you're a robot, Neil.
No, absolutely correct, Neil.
What was I going to say? Mighty Mush was going to give us some more context. Mighty?
No, I was just going to say, in the beginning, he did say, just for the sake of an argument, he wanted his role changed. But later on, he said, like, yeah, he admitted it's flat. He measured it flat, and yeah. He wanted to be. He wanted to let it roll.
So you're telling me? So let me get this straight. This argument has presumably taken place on the front foot with you guys asserting to him Earth's measured flat. Then he's gone out and gone, no, Earth's proving sphericity if we go out measuring.
Oh, I don't know what they're talking about with this.
He wasn't saying anything about sphericity.
What are they talking about?
But he's offered up some measurements and depictions of how we measure things. And then conceded that based on how we measure things for him, as a global when he presented it, that we are in fact measuring it flat. Ergo, I can only surmise that what I'm trying to achieve in 2024, you are basically telling me it's working. And here's an example of it with a particular dude. Correct?
I think so. Yeah, man.
I've got goosebumps.
Well, Mighty Mush is putting it kind of...
Tell me about it, man.
John,
once you realize,
what Mighty Mush is kind of... It's not really going that good. Because in the Even After show, me and George, we argue this every day. And it's always with humble.
I need to, at this point, now that it's working, right, ascribe the success to John.
And Jesse and other losers, like, not Humble. Humble's not a loser. But it's definitely Jesse. And it's most definitely Bacon. We argue with these guys about this every day. Even before Nathan Oakley decided that he was going to do this in 2024, I'm thinking maybe like 2023. To Even After show me arguing with these guys.
Because it's him that has got frustrated and sometimes even stormed out of some of the hangouts because we're just not getting this. Right, John? You've been banging this drum for a good long time, and that...
When I say every day, I mean literally every day. It don't stop. The argument just keep coming every day. I mean, it's probably going to be today. We're probably going to argue about this today. Me, George, Righteous Moderator, Righteous Force Moderator. We're going to argue about this today. Earth is measured flat. People are going to tell us, no, it's not. The Earth is not measured flat. You know, calibrating is not a measurement. You need 2 points. Nonsense like that. So we're going to argue this point once again today. It's another day in the office. Ain't that right, George?
That gets quickly forgotten. Same with gas pressure without a container. Where's that? QE's the one who came up with that argument, while I get some credit for it, which is nice, because I've put it out to my audience in the way I've put it out in my own special way. But it's QE's argument, and I'm not decrying the fact that you don't necessarily have to offer up credit if you've used that argument and won in a debate with it. You take ownership of that. That's notwithstanding that fact. But also, it is nice when someone else is, in this case it was John Thor, cutting up a bit of my video along with a bit of Witsit and who else did he put in there? He put someone else in there who's really sorry if it was you. I've forgotten who the other person was. Anyway, he's chopped it up and, it's presented as the gas pressure without a container argument. So I went in and put a comment and said, props to QE. It's him that originated this argument. And in this case, it's John that originated this argument. He postulated it easily a year ago. They have a flat plane that they use to argue for a globe, and they offer it up against a false dichotomy flat plane that we use badly. So they measure a flat plane, we measure a flat plane. This sentiment is John's. Just want to get that laid down right early on. But I'm still going to push it. Because it's working.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had enough of debunking the globe. It's time to prove that we actually live on a flat and stationary plane.
Right, because when you put that position to them in terms of measurements, they'll be showing you how they measure it flat too. Now, will that, as the road progresses, become more complex in terms of how they sneak it in? It already was. So, as far as I'm concerned, there's going to be no new turns of events that we go, oh, wow, they managed to subtly slip the flat plane in without us noticing on this one. They're never going to do it. McToon came the closest, credit where credit is due. So offering up flat plane measurements in the form of angles to ask how they'll work on a flat plane was ascertaining angles that can only be acquired from a flat plane and then asking us how they'll be used on a flat plane. That's probably as good as it'll get, I suspect.
Is McToon's offer of that 10,000? That's a bunch of BS, right? I mean, you guys might have talked about that before.
That's what we are. That's what I am talking about. What that challenge is here's some measurements, some angles that can only be acquired from a flat plane. They're angles off a flat baseline. So he presents them and says, how do these work on a flat Earth? I mean, that might be oversimplifying what his challenge is, but that's what it is.
Well, he ends up admitting that this is what the flat earthers are talking about. It's actually done like this, he says. He admits. I've claimed that 10,000 pounds as well. It just doesn't pay, obviously.
Is the challenge put across in a way where we can't, like, do it, I guess, is what I'm trying to find out?
The challenge is how to acquire an elevation angle from a curved surface. It cannot. So less an elevation requires an elevation angle.
Hey, George. George.
Hey, Roto.
Hey, man. Yeah, the conversation yesterday. Tell Nathan, see, so you got in your diagram there. So the visual of level in the diagram over and over, marked, labeled, level, right? Tell Nathan what happens when Jesse makes a level table.
Oh yes. Well, I was amazed to find out that my living room actually is spherical. The surface, that is.
Oh, John.
Because according to Jesse.
I just want to carry on a second, George. I just want John to listen because he did this 18 months to 2 years ago. But carry on. It
That's
sounds
correct.
like this. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's correct. It's the same example. So this is because he was talking about mountains to mountains to mountains elevation. So I give the example of my living room. So I start with measuring the height of my chair from the ground, and then I measure an angle to my sofa, and then another angle to my table, and another angle to my TV. And in the end of all of those angle measurements, I will assert that the surface of my living room is actually spherical.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I didn't know that.
What was his reaction?
Well, he had to agree that the surface must be flat. According
well, no,
to
based on your hijacking of what they do with their optical resolution loss calculation on a flat plane that they say is Earth curve as the cause of that optical resolution loss. Well, that cause, when ascribed to a much smaller scale, means your kitchen's curved, doesn't it?
Yep.
Right, so you've either got to concede that when we do the same exact hijacking of perspective on the small scale, you can make your kitchen curve, you can make your house a sphere, you know, that's what they're doing with the maths. I think it's beautiful. Like I say, a lot of what's going to be progressing flat Earth, I feel, in 2024 is going to be describable to John. Everyone gets their moment in the limelight, right? 23, maybe a bit of 22 was 10th man with elevation angle measurements. Prior to that, Black Swan and various other aspects of flat Earth that we've come to date with. And many of the housekeeping questions are can be specifically ascribed to panel members. But in this case, they're going to need a flat Earth for that, and it's John that's basically.
John was way ahead of everybody, huh?
Way ahead.
Even measuring the kitchen when he did that, it's amazing.
Yeah, with Bunk and Debunk, the little hippo teddies or whatever they were.
Yeah, yep, I remember that. Man, this is great.
Very much so, but it takes us a time to catch on, right? So, for John to put it out there and then somebody else 18 months ago to ascribe it, in this case George, to an opponent with the exact same example and the same conclusion, like, yeah, it does take time for this stuff to permeate out. So it's probably I estimate a year when I first started talking about this, right? I'm like, if we compare us now, but in 12 months with what we're doing, if it carries on, to Morgile debating Tim Osman and upside down Ed, or upside down head Ed, you'll see a stark contrast where all his positions are debunking the globe assertion on the back foot compared to, well, yeah, here's a few examples of how I say Earth's measured and it proves sphericity. Flat Earth example, flat Earth example, flat Earth example. They're doing the work for us now.
Yeah, it's amazing how
Nathan, if you think
developed.
about it, that was the only road we can go down, right? Earth is measured flat. That's the proper course of things.
It's a silver bullet, yeah.
Not bad. I'm just playing around. Oh man.
Did I hear someone say that their living room was measured as a sphere as well?
Yeah, George. Yeah. You should feel proud right at this moment, John. You really should.
I do. The only
I was
thing
surprised
that would be better
because I didn't know.
George is trying to tell you, John.
I didn't know. I was surprised. So I have a brand new living room. It's completely spherical. The surface, that is.
Yeah. Hey, John. It's funny because so they will, with visuals, understand on one hand what level means. They'll show you a straight line. They'll draw it out. They'll put a label on it. This is level. When you get them to define level, it doesn't look like what they display. So in asking Jesse, George is just laying out horizontal, verticals over and over, just laying it on Jesse. But Jesse, when asked, so Jesse, when you run a level when you run a spirit level, bubble level, over a surface, because he says we can build level on a sphere. I said, okay, Jesse, let's build level on a sphere. What does that look like? So when you run a bubble level, you're going to make a table. What's it going to look like? Is it going to be flat? Is it going to be level, like flat, or is it going to be a curve? He said it's going to curve. So when you run a bubble level over a flat table, it'll curve to be equidistant from the center point. So you see on one hand, it's just the double-mindedness of how they look at the word level. They can't escape the fact that they know what level means. They know what it means. It's ridiculous. It's in the ridiculous to think that it curves, right? We all know this, but we're playing this game like it actually does this because, someone said this, someone's taught this, that level is curved. And now we've got to play this game like pretend. It's a little silly, but you see what it does to a guy like Jesse. Jesse's not stupid, He understands that.
Yeah, we don't really have to play the game. That's what I tell flat earthers. I tell them no, they're beginning a conversation. It's almost like a child that you don't know coming up to you and doing something disrespectful, and you engaging with them for an hour. It's like you don't know these people when they come in and tell you what your model is.
Did you miss part of your intro?
Yeah, I'm mixing it up a bit.
Okay, we were talking about that the other day. We believe you're reading from something.
Believe I'm reading from something? No, I've just said it so many times that I go back through the times, it does subtly change occasionally. But no, I'm not reading. I said this yesterday, I don't have a script in front of me because I don't have a desk in front of me. I don't even have a keyboard in front of me. What are you talking about? You think I've got some sort of proof that you're not reading something? No, definitely not.
Yeah, but hold on a second. And Godfather Marlon Brando had his lines written on the ceiling, on people's backs when they returned to them. I found this all out the other day. I'm not saying you are it. I'm only making your job.
There's two different terms, right? There's script and scripted. Right, so if something is scripted, it means that it's written down and you learn the lines. However, you can be on a script. So when we talk about Dave White going through his blurb, that's him going through his script. When I say begging the question, proving nothing, perspective hijacking, Earth curve calculator, that's part of a script. Now that's not to say I'm reading it off something. It's just other people might call it rhetoric. Yeah? But it's not written down. It's like the intro. I've developed the intro over time. It's adapted. Go on, John. John, your mic's wide open.
Oh crap! Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I thought you had something to add. You were so great in the pre-show. You were getting so much praise.
He actually wants to ask George a question. I'm sorry to take you off with the script.
Fine. No, that's fine. If you want to ask a question, I've got to fill the live audience in on what we're talking about, so I'll do that in the meantime. So, about 18 months ago, John had a skit with Bunk and Debunk explaining how if you take perspective measurements in your kitchen, you can extrapolate out a curved surface to your whole house by those measurements. In the same way, Earth's curve is a hijacking of perspective in that rhetoric I just led with a minute ago to explain that on the script. Nevertheless, George has then gone forth to put that to a baller. Now, from what I'm hearing in the pre-show, I'm still a little bit sceptical about this. This baller has essentially conceded that all of his measurements are flat, therefore has turned to a flat earther as a result of his own measurements and own examples. I'll just put one of these up on screen now so you can see what we're talking about. In terms of their assertions of how they measure as a baller, a flat earth. Now that's what I'm saying we should all be leading with in 2024. We're flat earthers, for heaven's sake. Let's lead with our earth measured flat, because it is for everyone, including ballers, and in this case a convert, and the first one. But alongside this story comes George's story of how he has basically utilised the bunk and debunk argument of how you can turn your house into a sphere by the same extrapolations that the baller has used with earth and perspective. So that's the conversation that's been taking place in the pre-show, and John's got some questions for George, or the other way around, I forget which way.
Yeah, I was going to ask George, did his opponent calculate his living room as a sphere, or did George do that?
Well, he was asserting that he was doing that, transposing from mountains to mountains, and would have access and giving the sphericity to the plane. So I gave the example. So what you're saying is that my living room is actually spherical, because what you're doing is you're taking the first height, like the height of a chair, for example, in my living room, and then measure the angle to the sofa, and then the angle to my table, and then the angle to my TV, and in the end you're gonna tell me that the surface of my living room is actually spherical. I didn't know I had a spherical living room, I said. But ultimately, I said to him that he must be a flat earther, because every single projection that you are showing to us, it requires a flat plane. He gave us quite a few examples of elevation angles. He described them accurately. And I gave him props because he's been doing it.
My screen still up. It's on low. What's going on with my screen? Not going on with my stream at all.
Piggyback off its algorithmic level that it'll get it as his understanding improves. Starting with things like the begging the question proving nothing perspective hijacking Earth calculator, something which he openly admitted and is the reason he'll be the first I approach with this. He may not be the last, as I say, he may tell me to get lost. To say, here you go, I publicly would like to align with you to go through the heliocentric rhetoric in detail, not so I can debunk it so that you can be better educated in it. And if you feel that I'm unreasonably representing it and me shouting at, I will allow you to do so, just to show that this is absolutely going to be for my mutual benefit. If you, obviously conditional, snag the algorithmic love that you're obviously seeking. Because he's not a popular YouTuber. May have been popular on TikTok, but that's a transition I would assume every TikToker wants to make. Well, here he is. He's not popular yet for me to say I can make you what, more popular than he isn't already. But we, having been in this arena for 10 years and having seen some of the algorithmic love before it was taken away, have other advantages to offer an anti-flat earther in terms of how to gain that algorithmic love from YouTube. We're very experienced. We may not receive it, but how can I snag it? Well, I've got to, as the title suggests, sleep with the enemy in order to achieve it. Now, when I pitched this, I appreciated immediately that when you hear it as an audience member live, you might go, what? You're telling me you want to help an anti-flat earther understand his own globe rhetoric better? Put him in a better position to argue with you? And not only that, in order to get him to agree to be better educated in his own rhetoric, you're willing to lay down all arms and take abuse from him when he feels that you're wrong? Yeah. Just to get algorithmic love. Yeah. That's basically the position that I'm in.
Genius. That's genius. That is genius.
I want to know from the audience. You were involved in the call, John. I'm not sorry to cut you off after giving you so much love earlier. I actually want to know from the audience, and if you want to join, as I say in the beginning, right, treat this as anything else. If you want to join in this discussion, hopefully the room's not too full for anybody to get in. Join the Discord link, and you can offer your opinion on this too. Because the last thing I want to have is people, no offence to you, Bob, rest in peace, saying, well, you're just sleeping with the enemy. All you do is helping them. There's nothing else that gives us any advantage. So,
no, it's a difference. It's a difference in how you're doing it, Nathan. And I said that this morning too. It is genius.
Okay, so we'll go to the comments. Hopefully, with a couple of minutes elapsing, there'll be a few comments on this specifically. And I'll reference what people think about this, because it is quite literally sleeping with the enemy. And having to make concessions so that he knows, hold on, this is weighed in my favour. Now, although it's speculative, Brian says don't mention this in terms of the pitch. If I was to, let's keep it hypothetically, Planet Peterson was approached. And I probably will approach him. Like I say, in terms of sales, there's probably going to be 10 people I approach before one of them say, yeah, okay, I actually see the advantage and what you would have to sacrifice in order to offer it to get, for you, at least only a meagre advantage should they be successful algorithmically. Because it's not like I'm going to grow at the same rate as somebody who's actually being favoured in the algorithm for their improved knowledge, right? But I can potentially piggyback off it, where previously there is no route into us getting any algorithmic love. The amount that sharing the show and putting Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me on a comment, if they don't like us, they can just wipe that out as a YouTuber instantly. So, you know, it's hit and miss. But if I have to collaborate with somebody who is essentially in the same arena because he's our opponent, to piggyback off him to get some algorithmic love, there's quite a lot I'm willing to sacrifice as a YouTuber to get that. But not at the risk of my integrity, you know, because the easy route is cut him out completely. start a new channel, put on a voice changer, and just go through heliocentrism. Better than everyone else is there, right? But obviously that would mean a massive, what's the word, moral sacrifice that I am absolutely not prepared to do. But he's not in that position, right? He actually believes the position that he's going to be learning more about, to the point where hopefully he would understand things like perspective hijacking in terms of orthographic representations and curve calculations and all the stuff that he seems to be, no offence to you if you're listening, Planet Peterson, pretty ignorant of. Let's have a look at the chat. Got Uncle Ben says fool. Got a few people just saying hello. No spoilers, please. Shout out to Uncle Ben. Shout out to Price of Adam. Good to see you, everyone. Yeah. Anybody actually commenting on this? I heard QE the other day when he went to the chat for the same purpose. Well, I don't know why I'm even bothering with this. Got lots of comments about Earth being flat, Earth being measured flat. Don't know you're about. No, there's really nothing in here. Okay, well, thank you, public. Obviously not massive guffaws of objections to what I'm proposing. At the very least, that's all I can glean from what we've had in the chat. Thank you. But nice to see you all. Oxbow Spirit, good to see you. Mr. Jones, nice to see you. Bible U, Oz, good to have you all. Is it Colonel Angus? Who else haven't said hello to you? Missed anybody? Tanya, nice to see you. Dr. La, good to have you. INFE, nice to see you. Oxbow Spirit. Joko, however you say it, nice to see you. Yeah, I think I've done everybody. If I've missed you, I'm sorry. Please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. All right, now it's time to get feedback from the panel. Go
you're
ahead,
our
Neil.
fearless leader. We follow you. We agree. Go get it.
Yeah, you say that till you're hearing me clipped out and seeming like I've lost badly to Peterson. Then you'll be maybe objecting, Neil. But I'll remember this when you...
But that's it. Hold on. That's an impossibility. The globe is a lie. There's no way you could lose or even appear like you're losing.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be nice to have an opponent who actually understands how their argument works and is taking advantage of some of our knowledge we've acquired over the last 10 years, specifically about heliocentrism?
Absolutely.
Right. Like I say, we may not carve out our own algorithmic love through doing that, but what other options do I have? Yeah, maybe someone can let me know if you've got contact with me and you know how I can get in touch with that guy, because I don't know him from Adam. Planet Peterson is his name. If someone can acquire me an email address or something of that nature, so I can drop him a line and say, I come in peace, this is an idea, feel free to say no, I'll just move on to next man and make it quick if you don't want to do this. However, if you do, I can see a lot of advantage to you with a friendly, self-declared, not going to attack you, in fact quite the opposite, allow you to attack me if you choose to do so while I'm trying to impart better globe knowledge on you. Because we've got abundance of this knowledge and I'm trying to cut it out my show while I've got a whole panel, a whole network of people that can provide exemplary knowledge because I've spent 10 years studying it. The ins, the outs, the ups, the downs, all of it.
Nathan, doesn't Mighty Mush have contact with him? I thought I heard him saying something the other day about this Planet Peterson guy.
I just watched his video.
I thought he was in touch with him. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not in contact with him. But Nathan, he did say he will debate you on evolution. He was so confident about that. He was laughing at you. He said, you don't know anything about evolution. It was been proven by science. And he said he will debate you on evolution.
I mean, fine.
Proven by science.
Maybe that's what I've got to concede to, because this is a very weak subject of mine. So maybe losing badly to him on a debate about evolution so someone can be calling me a numpty in clips where I get it all wrong. Maybe that'll be something I have to concede to convince him that, look, I want to go through your knowledge of your subject to the point where you are finely tuned as a globe proponent, rather than declaring to the audience that you don't understand something I've said. I'm your opponent and you should know my arguments better than I do. You don't, it's the other way around. But that to me seems like it's a win-win for him if I was to put that to him. Now, don't get me wrong. He might just see me as the enemy and therefore why would I ever want to have my own rhetoric educated to me by you? Well, because it's good viewing, because people will watch it, because you're growing the algorithm for it, especially if I've already conceded in advance that were you to disagree, I'm going to have to sit back in my seat and tolerate it while you rant at me. But I'll be publishing it, you'll be publishing it, you'll be trimming out the bits that are advantageous to you, and potentially if there's a link to my video, and obviously it's a discussion between you and I, cross-promoting, that's a YouTube advantage only to me, isn't it? So therefore you can see that I'm not just doing it for nothing. Therefore, obviously, I'm going to be trying to get a gotcha on him. I need to impart that I'm not doing this to try and get a gotcha on you. Whereas if we enter into a debate over evolution, that's the only purpose. One of us is trying to get one over on the other and win. Whereas if we start from a different position, maybe don't enter into debate, as it might be starting off on the wrong foot if we did that, actually, thinking about it. But nevertheless, somehow convince him that that is not attached to an ulterior motive to get one over on him. But merely with the YouTube hat on, I don't get any algorithmic love. That's why I appeal to every single respondent to put my link in their video. Whether or not he did, I don't know. If he sees me as just the enemy and is like, screw you, I'll put a link to you. Like, okay, yeah, I understand that attitude, I'm your enemy. However, if it was a mutually beneficial agreement, relationship, where both of us are not debating, but going through the wheres and wherefores of not flat Earth, but the globe. Specifically, I don't need to debate flat Earth with him, right? And we, moving forward on the front foot, don't need to talk about how the globe operates. Earth's measured flat. So, as far as I'm concerned, the detachment leaves an opening for a knowledge base that is not being exploited. Who's going to exploit it? What am I going to do with that? If I start putting Brian on the spot to start going through how heliocentrism on orbital motion works, then who's going to want that from the flat Earth side if I'm literally contradicting it? Well, they're not. I'm going to shut that stuff down. But how do you pitch that to some YouTube benefit? Well, you've got to have a friendly glober. Somebody who's actually... That's why I picked him in the first place. It's a great example. He seems like he's got a bit of humility. The detachment leaves an opening. Say again, Reg? Might have just been hot micing. Something about an opening. Okay. Well, anyway, I don't know if the audience has got anything more to add, if they've twigged to what I'm proposing. Like I say, I'll propose it. If I get some contact details for Planet Peterson, he may be the first person that I contact in this regard. And hopefully you'll see the advantages that can be revealed from people with an exemplary knowledge of his subject matter that he's trying to algorithmically break into. I'm glad you've all got a lot to say about it.
I like it. It seems like you're trying to use the algorithm against itself in a way.
But maybe
Seems like he's doing something other than just sitting on the show. Way to go, Nathan. Get out there. Let's get it going. We should be mainstream by now. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, well, again, don't be disappointed, as I've already disclaimed, Neil. If I managed, let's say it was, we've got to keep it hypothetical for now. Let's say Peterson agrees and he's like, yeah, hell yeah. I can see how that's going to definitely get me a lot of views. And he gets them, right? And true to form, he keeps my link in there. It's me and him talking, so obviously people are going to be well aware who I am, right? And I grow 1% of the growth he gets, which is what I would anticipate getting out of him and I discussing stuff on both he and my channels, and a link for he and I on either or channel. Yeah, he won't get any advantage from his link being in my video, but algorithmically I will advantage to the tune of about 1% when he grows, if he grows. Yeah, well, you might look at that and go, man, this is massively skewed in his favor. Yeah, it had to be to entice him. And yeah, you could quantify it as being minimal in terms of growth. Yeah, minimal's better than none. Exposure, that is. So ultimately, I'm offering information for clout. That's the trade. A minimal amount, because he'll get a lot out of it, I believe. And again, Brian was quick to say, no, don't sell him on that, because that's speculation. He might not get anything out of it. So just sell him on what you can actually give him, which is the impartation, if that's the word, of the knowledge itself, exemplary, that we have, that is being condemned currently in terms of the format of the show. Got to use it for something. Might as well use it to educate a baller who will essentially be put in a better position to debate with us. Great, that sounds great too. I'm bored of dealing with the numpties that don't understand their own rhetoric. Would I want to debate Planet Peterson as it stands? No. But if you want to look at it this way, you sharpen up the tool for your opponent and get them trained up better, and then they're going to push you further, aren't they? So there's advantages for me in that regard if I put positive spin on it. But in reality, that is just what I said, positive spin. Because the only real advantage that I would seek and would hopefully achieve, speculatively, because he's got to succeed for me to succeed, he's got to get out to more people by a factor of about 100 for me to get a little bit of algorithmic love off the back of it.
But the thing is, all the anti-flat earthers watch you, and then they disseminate stuff to their audience about you. The thing is, if they seen a glober berating you and you taking it, that glober would be a star overnight.
Yeah, that's something else Neil.
How is he? Hold on. How is he going to get berated? How?
I'm glad you said it. I pitched that too, and again, Brian was the first to condemn it. It's like, don't sell him speculative stuff, because he's giving me the pitch when we were discussing this, right? Which is to say, if you're going to pitch something you can actually give him. The information, the knowledge, the understanding is all real. And in terms of when it's being put to him, if he objected, when literally what he's getting is an education in globe, then I'm going to have to say, you know, in those circumstances, I'm going to just lay down my arms and say, okay, fine, you off you go, fine, I'll wait till you're done. I'm not going to debate you on this, because it's globe information, right? So from that point of view, offering up the speculation of being a globe hero because he's getting the opportunity, that isn't the be-all and end-all of what I'm offering him. I'm not saying what I'm dangling in front of you is the opportunity to berate me. Yeah, no idiot in their right mind would ever offer that. I've just got to give him the impression that no, my aim isn't to get one over and win you in a debate when we're discussing your betterment of understanding of globe. That isn't what I'm trying to achieve. I just want the algorithmic love. You and I talking about it would require potentially a guest speaker like Brian to come along. But if Brian comes along and goes, you're going to be a god amongst globers with this, beat me and berate me, that's never going to happen, is it? Right? But if it got to the point where he's frustrated with a piece of globe information for whatever reason, and Brian's on the guest panel and we're just having to sit back and tolerate his fury, that's very different to just being berated in debate as we try and get our flat earth winning point across to him. That isn't the objective. So he'll understand that, you know, we're standoffish when there's confrontation in regards to a globe education for him. Obviously so, because there's literally then zero benefit to anybody when that happens. So the conversation's going to shut down, but for the ranting. But if that can be spun, trimmed out as, look at Peterson shouting at Nathan about how wrong he is about a piece of globe information that he's trying to be trained on. Well, okay, I mean, that might be wonderful for globers, and it might make him a god amongst globers. I don't know that, though, do I? It's just speculation. But the information will be right and true and well-researched and documented and cited and globe-related. And will put him in a better position where, currently, it's a bit frustrating for us, another advantage here, by spin, that it's a bit boring dealing with idiots like Simon Dunn who don't understand the rhetoric. Yeah, occasionally you get a nice little juicy soundbite, you and your reference frames are ruined. Stuttering at the beginning, but you and your reference frames are ruined, because he knows what a balls up he's made. Well, wouldn't it be nice to have an opponent that really comes up through the ranks? The Dark Knight of our opponents, with a really sharp sword. Well, how sharp? Well, we were the ones who sharpened it.
So are you ultimately, is this like the glorified propping up of ultimately going back and forth with a genuine, potentially casual, actual glober and not anti-flat earther?
At this point, he seems new enough to not necessarily be an anti-flat earther beyond what you've been trained to be as a human in this world, as a Western world occupier. His general demeanour strikes me as what a normie would be if they were triggered by the subject and got here. Now, that does not say that he's not that new. Maybe he's been here for 5 years. I don't know, and it doesn't matter. what I'm saying is he's green in terms of what his knowledge actually demonstrates. And he seems, at least to a degree, and it might just be a false impression I got whilst watching Flatzoid respond to him, that he seemed amiable. Yeah, he had all the usual ad homs. Don't start putting in the comments, he called you a stupid blah blah blah. Yeah, I know. It's a hint that I'm getting off one individual. And that individual, Planet Peterson, may not be that guy that we end up going, welcome, here is Globe Rob. Hi, I'm Globe Rob. And he's got 5,000 subscribers, and then a year from now, while Globe Rob and Flat Earth debate under maybe a different name or a different guise, but it'll be us and our knowledge about Globe being imparted on some Globe believer. Now, again, you might say, well, again, how does this have an advantage to you as a Flat Earther? We know where the arguments go. Now, I don't have to explicitly state this. If you've been watching for a while, why can we relinquish all those arguments? Good though we are with them and exemplary though we are in our understanding, why can we now relinquish them? Yeah? Now, without saying it explicitly, if you can't read between the lines in that regard, then you don't understand the plot that, that will thicken as time progresses. But ultimately, we don't need to argue Flat Earth with anti-Flat Earthers anymore. But they absolutely, in the algorithm, need us to be challenged. That's what they do, and that's what offers them their advantage in the algorithm. Let's give it them. Planet Peterson's some dude that he can offer it in the first instance. It might not be him, though. Go ahead, Eli.
So in turn, what we, and it's genius, what we actually need is a more competent and prepared Globe Earther to actually have an actual interesting conversation, because no one wants to see Mike Tyson fight a bum.
Yeah.
So we kind of actually want to build a culture where these guys actually know what they're talking about, because people can go, they actually know what citations are and the difference between a citation and a source. And so now that they're doing that and we're doing that also, it only leads to one result. But that would be a great world if that's how it actually went, right?
It'd be nice to not brace against... Exactly. It'd be nice to not brace against incorrect rhetoric that is only being utilised because in the moment, relinquishment of a Globe Earth claim gets you a point over a Flat Earther. Now, that's the standard for Globe Earthers currently. Well, I'm saying that whoever it may be, Globe Rob, for instance, there is no Globe Rob, I've made him up, but Globe Rob sees the advantage and goes, I can distinguish myself in the algorithm by having a better knowledge acquired from my opponents in the first instance. So I know the ins and outs of the argument, and because it's come from my opponents, subtly, if I was Globe Rob, I'd be thinking, I want to know how their arguments fail, and subtly I'll try and get out of them at any opportunity. Because those are the bits that I'll want to cut out with a link to his video in every single video, and vice versa, mutually beneficial to both parties. But ultimately, both parties are going to, under the surface, we're enemies. But if that's made explicitly clear from the off, but an agreement in principle is made that while we might falter, there might be tensions risen on both sides occasionally, we'll have an understanding that that is not the objective we are trying to achieve. From a YouTube point of view, I want algorithmic love. From a, I want to stand a cut above all the other people who've already carved out their niche in this YouTube algorithm. You need something better to carve out your niche. Currently, he's not succeeding in that because he's a very green to the subject, not very well versed in his own rhetoric. Just another one in a pile of anti-flat earthers calling us stupid. Right? What's he got to offer YouTube? Nothing. That's why he won't grow. He's not going to be the next Simon Dan, but he could be. If he had something better than everyone else on the market, so to speak, all with a YouTube hat on, I can take advantage of that. If I piggyback on something, on someone that can niche their way out a new little crevice in the algorithm, and I'm alongside him, no matter how small the advantage, that's better than no advantage, isn't it? That's the way I have to spin this to myself to see that this is actually worth doing, where I literally see no other avenue to gain algorithmic support from YouTube. I don't see any other way of achieving that with a YouTube hat on. So you think, okay, Are you going to sacrifice your integrity to achieve this? No. Well, how can you, number one, exploit the knowledge you've got, and number two, retain your integrity? Well, then you need a third party who's actually not on your side, because it's the only way you can achieve that, in my mind. Now, again, I want it in the comments. I want this video to generate a lot of comments in this regard. So I know that I've already appealed to the YouTube chat a couple of times, but I really want to know, you know, is this the right call? Because if it all goes south, I'll own up to it. I'll put my hands in the air. But if you all condemn me for it, then obviously I don't want that to be the outcome.
Just chilling, listening to Nathan Oakley for a minute while I play around with my system.
He is just sleeping with the enemy, because the algorithmic love and actually putting out more globe earth rhetoric is worthy, rather than the overall advantage that you as a flat earth channel punting the fact that we measure earth flat will be propped up by a mutually supportive YouTuber who can get some algorithmic love. Anyway, hopefully that'll generate some discussion in the comments. Obviously it's all very much welcome, and hopefully there'll be some back and forth from people who respond to this. So I'm glad it's been the main focus of the show, as we're 3/4 of the way through now. The live show, that is. 86 people watching. Please share the show. LVA Paul says, great idea.
Are you, so basically,
I just want to cut in real good. I think all publicity is good publicity. To be honest with you, I don't see no way. Even if it do go south, you know, as long as you handle yourself professionally and get your point out, I don't think it's going to be anything. I don't think anything going to be wrong with that, because you are presenting yourself to maybe a new audience. But I believe Nathan, you pretty much already like mainstream. People already know about you in this, I guess, in this debate or this flat Earth world. You know, it's just that they don't see you out there. That's probably maybe the only thing that's holding you back, is that they don't see you out there since. But you know, all of the anti-flat earthers talk about you. All of them make videos about you. Pretty much Mattoon, that goes from Mattoon, the Planet Nord guy, Simon Dan, Dave McKean. All these guys make videos about you. So you pretty much already mainstream within that world. It's just now everybody want to see if you would engage with them, because the stick is that Nathan Oakley is the bad guy. He only stays on his show and this and that. And since Jaren and all of them, they decided to play division, and now they put you on that side. They put you on the other side too. You know, now people are really wondering if you really take a good look at it. This is the perfect time to actually come out. Because now people were wondering, like, oh, well, we see Witsit, we see Jaren, we see, you know, Flat Earth Dave or Brian or whatever. We see them. Oh, now Nathan Oakley. Whoa, let's see Nathan Oakley. Let's see what Nathan Oakley could say. What do he have to say? So I believe that's going to, you know, bring that audience in there, because all of you guys is fighting for the same audience. So that audience actually see you out there and starting to engage with people, especially the newer Globers. I do think that's a real good move, because the audience that's already interested in what you have to say, but it's still while you still being censored, and then you still get all of these anti-flat earthers saying don't go on your show, don't go on your show. Now if they actually see you go on their show, go on a neutral platform or even their show, and they see what they're saying is not actually true, that you is actually willing to listen and willing to just basically get your points out, and you're very professional and handle yourself in that manner, then people will be like, hey, this guy's not like what they say he is. He's just, he a little wild, but he's not, you know, anything like that. Let me go check his show out. Let's see what he's been talking about this whole time. I'm very interested. Or at the very least, they're going to come on just to, you know, do what they already do, troll. But all of that bring you, you know, algorithm love. All of that will bring you an audience, and it's putting yourself out there. Even if it goes south, you will still gain, a larger audience. You will still be in the front of a new audience, if you in the sense that you can bring back to you. Plus, you can make clips, and you can do what they do. You can make clips about your interactions with them as well, and maybe you could trick YouTube in that way.
Well, maybe that won't be the case either, because as I say, I'm piggybacking off the potential of someone else to take advantage of an algorithm that I can't take advantage of unless I compromise my integrity. Just a quick shout out to OBE Lines. It says, Tuesday's show was real excellence. Grateful to have access to members only uncut and after show. Oh, well, thank you very much, OBE Lines, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Subscribe to OBE Lines. He's a videographer, so check him out. Click on his little super chat, and I'm sure it'll take you to his channel. Click on the subscribe button. It's really easy, and you'll enjoy some of his stuff, which we can't cover here because he covers a lot more conspiratorial subjects that, when it comes to the flat Earth debate specifically, we condemn the discussion taking place because it distracts from the facts about how it's measured. Now, that hasn't always been the case here, but it doesn't mean that I obviously find those subjects interesting, as do a lot of other flat earthers who have found their way here through that road very specifically. So there's a good chance that there's going to be a lot of people in the audience who are interested in what OBE Lines does. So check him out, subscribe today, and also, as he's shouting out my members, yeah, if you did want to become a member, there's a video that's taken from that very show that will be up. It uploads. I'm actually uploading it as we're doing this show. Not normally that great at multitasking, but as I had a super chat and a reminder, I'd edited it just before I started the live show, and it's going out to members 5 minutes time when it finishes uploading. I've automatically set it to go to members once it's uploaded, so you can check that out. Can't remember what I called it. Measurements of Earth. It's flat. That's the name of the video. But it's essentially what we were discussing on yesterday's show. One of the participants of Earth Discussions, is that the name of the server? Earth Awakenings, that's the one, was denying that the ground position and the ground that we're measuring and referencing is the ground. So it's that little section with a lot of rumpusing. And indeed Witsit, who makes a star appearance and summarises the point and gets us back on track, points out that there's a lot of colour commentary and distractions from the point. And then, no offence to you, Gio, but you then discussed an internal issue about whether or not we should have hand raising in the server. Witsit cuts that off too and is like, rebuttal. So Witsit, as much as we give him crap, right, for things that we don't agree with that he postulates mainly ether, when he's on fire, man, he's really good. And, you know, I gave him a lot of props yesterday. I'm going to give him a lot of props now because he's in that video. And you'll see exactly what I mean. You'll hear him and go, man, that's some top moderation right there. Because he gets the subject back on track, points out that there's colour commentary coming that's unneeded, shuts up one of our own, Brian, a flat earther, when he's doing the same thing. I didn't do it with Neil. Technically, I did a worse job, but I was the participant as opposed to a moderator. But the whole thing was made smoother by Witsit. So props to you, Witsit, if you're listening. You're on that video. It will get released to the public probably on Saturday. But for now, it's members only. Check it out if you're a member. Become a member if you haven't done already.
Hey, Nathan, not only did he get you back on, hold on, not only did he get you back on track, but he backed up your argument pretty damn good.
Yeah, he reiterated the concentric circles being used with the ground position for Polaris. On the ground. What's that? Not the ground! Yeah. So, yeah, it's nice to have my back. I'm not going to lie, man. It gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling as I relaxed into my chair, knowing that I hadn't got to do it. And it's far harder if you're a participant. Right, if you're the person debating, pointing out that all of your opponents are giving you colour commentary, is you having to hold the mic to do that, taking away from your point and your time. You need a third party to do it. So to have Witsit do it, man, like I say, I was just so chuffed. He's going to get so much props for that. Such a small gesture too, because it was the right thing to do. He paid attention to the point, understood the point, reiterated the point, stopped the colour commentary, got the argument back on track. Wonderful.
Can I say something real quick about the overriding punchline to what you were talking about earlier? Because you can grant them all their fallacious logic. You can stay quiet while they preach about their doctrines of sphere, but it's still measured flat. At the end of the, that's the only
my
thing that
point,
matters.
John. Right, it's a win-win.
Yes, what John's saying, although I'm not going to ascribe it as, you're right. You have also pointed this out in times gone by, although that wasn't going through my mind when I've been thinking about this, John. But you can ascribe that to it, absolutely. But that wouldn't necessarily be my aim game, because if you were him, let's say back to Globe Joe or Planet Peterson or whoever it is that ends up potentially doing this, and someone will do this. Let's say I, at the end of each show, after showing tangent plane transposed to hell, wrap the show up by going, because Earth's measured flat. If I did that on every show, the relationship would deteriorate immediately. In other words, there's certain aspects on their globe show, even though it would be simulcast. That would be to say, I'd be broadcasting it, they'd be broadcasting it, or if it's behind the scenes, I'd be recording it, and you would hope he would be recording it so he can publish it to his audience and my audience with mutual links. That's the whole point. That's the only benefit. So that would be the thing that I'd be stressing. This is all I want. So if you published a video that we're discussing orbital motion, and you didn't put my link in, it's like, well, that would shatter the relationship for me, because all I'm trying to get is a bit of algorithmic love where I don't get any. Speaking of which, I keep asking, I just want to, last thing on Peterson specifically. He commented on Flatsoid's video, and I responded, did you put a link to my video in your video that you responded to? That was my first question. Then I told him, because he said he didn't understand, so I thought, although sarcastic, because I said you're welcome at the end of it, I answered his question. So, just so, hopefully this points out that I'm not trying to be a dick, right? So, he explained that when he heard the orthographic argument, that he didn't understand it. Because he disclaimed that, in other words, he had humility, I answered it. I went and dug him up a new citation, I went and searched for it, and found a reasonably decent EDU citation for the juxtaposition between perspective and orthographic. Cited it in quotes, and then put a separate comment with the link so it didn't remove it because I'm a non-member or whatever of Flatsoid's channel. So if the link disappears, so what? It's in quotes with a spaced out hyperlink so it doesn't flag any bots to remove it. So I've answered him. There you go. This is the essence of the argument. Again, while I was doing this, it was making me think, what am I doing here? I'm actually explaining to him how an orthographic view works. This is to his advantage. He's now understanding better how his argument works, and gaining a better understanding through this cited, quoted source from a decent educational source about how perspective and orthographic works. This is bettering him. I'm like, surely this could work to our advantage. Hence, that's how my thought progression has gone. Does that make sense?
Are you talking about the orthographic view that uses surface level as a horizontal plane?
Yes, John.
John, that's extreme. It can never be a disadvantage.
Yeah, but it would take someone to point that out. Yes, Neil, but do you see how not adding that on the end? Let's say this was a discussion between me and Planet Peterson right now, and we go through tangential planes, but I don't add that on to the end, right? So in all instances, we're still measuring from a horizontal plane of reference. Therefore, Earth is flat. If that wasn't added on at the end, the inference is all that's required for a mutually beneficial stream that both of us were doing. Do you understand, John? You couldn't be there.
Oh, I'm not invited. I got it.
Yeah, with that attitude. I'm just saying, from Planet Peterson's perspective, my show, Flat Earth Debate, this show, is about showing Earth measured flat. That show, whatever it was called, would be about learning how the globe works.
I'm going live.
But you got to realize it's measured flat to show how the globe works.
That would absolutely be in the explanation, and it would be from a really well trusted by him globe Earth source. So when we show how the plane of the ecliptic, the plane of the equator, the equatorial plane rather, how any of these work with a globe wrapped around them, it'll be phrased, this is how the globe works. And then you describe how it has an equatorial plane in the center of that globe and how the angles go through the globe, through the surface that you measured initially with the tangent plane out to the GP. Now, I almost sound like a globe proponent when I say it like that, don't I? Because I haven't declared how there's 3 flat planes just been utilised. But that's an inference that you, as an advanced...
You're going to laugh.
Go on.
I knew you were going to laugh. You're going to laugh. There's no way you can go through that spiel and not laugh a little bit, at least to yourself. I know I can't do it anymore.
Well, nobody's laughing when they want to get their exemplary heliocentric undoing through to an anti-flat earth proponent and are being rumpused or charged with giving him a flat earth silver bullet or something along those lines. When that happens, let's use Brian as an example. Do you think Brian is laughing when he's getting rumpus because he's explaining how a globe works to make a point. No. Wouldn't it be better if the opponent knew in their heart of hearts that it wasn't going to be summarized with, yeah, you see this flat plane? I've just explained how the globe works. See, that's a flat plane there. Yeah. We never get that now. And only in a world that could never be existing will a globe Earth proponent allow us to do that to them. I'll never be successful in pitching it. And if I did do that, then they'd just say, sod this. You're only here to get a gotcha.
The globe Earth is a gotcha, though.
By implication.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. And that doesn't need to be explicitly stated, does it? Now, up until now, because we've transitioned from flat Earth believers to flat Earth knowers, we have been explicitly stating it. But that's to ourselves. That's because of our own lack of confidence and our own bloody argument. We're beyond that now. So I don't feel we need to explicitly state it if all we're doing is disseminating our exemplary globe understanding to somebody who's greener than we.
And you can do that without laughing.
Yeah. Brian does it all the time, and he's not laughing when he does it because he's not putting it to an opponent who's friendly but ultimately wants to be laughed at, because it never happens. So what actually happens? They are rumpusing him. Wouldn't it be better if you're like, this guy really wants to soak this information up because it's advantageous to him, and all Brian's doing is going through how I don't know, elevation angle measurements transposed into the equatorial plane in the center of a sphere work. You know, that's a complex globe affirming issue. Are you saying I can't laugh instead of go wink wink with a noise? Yeah, I can do that.
The last time you just tried to do it a minute ago and giggled.
Didn't I? Went as in I'm winking at you. So I'm saying I can do it without laughing. It's inferred. Now we know it's inferred, but I know for a fact if Planet Peterson was watching this now, he wouldn't know. He doesn't understand what we're talking about, right? Well, I want him to. I want him to understand this discussion. It doesn't have to involve me laughing at him because there's a flat plane being used. I can just explain how the flat plane in the middle of the globe is used to affirm that the angle measured off a tangent plane is used to get the angle to the star so it can be transposed into the middle of Earth on the equatorial plane. That is how it works on a globe, isn't it, John? Have I said anything wrong? Is it not exemplary globe understanding that's just disseminated?
That's exactly how it works on a globe.
On a globe, in a globe. Yeah, that's how it works.
You're just going to have to willingly use on and in incorrectly for that.
Oh, the tangent plane that gives them their angle off the tangent from a single point on the globe surface is then transposed into the globe. So their on a tangent point measurement is then transposed into the globe on the equatorial plane. No laughter, no inaccuracies, globe affirming. Right? That's what.
But that's not on a globe.
Tangent was on a globe. That's how it's depicted, though, isn't it? That is correct. How it would be depicted in a diagram if you went and looked it up. So it's like, no, this guy's lying to me when he's deceiving me with on a globe, in a globe. No, look at the diagram. There's your tangent. It's meeting a single point at your feet, your surface level on the globe. It dangles beneath with the equatorial plane inside it. That's the measurement point off the tangent on a globe. Now, to measure it up with the celestial sphere, you need to wrap the celestial sphere around the globe and the equatorial plane inside it and move the angle measured from the tangent in the globe. But all of that would be accurate if you went to look it up, wouldn't it?
Oh, fuck.
Who's doing that? Neil, you're off mute.
Sorry.
Yeah, but that's how it works in a globe.
Yeah. So I'd explain.
Just as long as you don't point that out.
No,
just don't point that out, I guess.
Well, you do point it out. That's how it works. And there's a globe in the picture. So that's good enough, right? And we've explained how it works with the globe in the picture and the tangent on the globe and the equatorial plane in the globe. On a globe, in a globe, it would be explained to an extent that the person, in this case in the example, Globy Joe, with his budding YouTube channel, green though he is, understands how tangent planes give them measurements with a GP that can be transposed down to the equatorial plane extending out beyond the horizon and beyond the equator on an extended flat plane for GPs to work on. On a globe in a globe is a shortcut to describing how the globe describes it. No need to put in the extra flat earth bit that's literally being used within the globe anyway. It's there and you have to use it to describe how it works in the globe. So you just explain how it works in the globe to the globie, who should say thank you at the end and realise that he's had nothing but an exemplary understanding of how celestial...
All right.
How an orthographic view works. This is to his advantage. He's now understanding better how his argument works. And understand what we're talking about. Right? Well, I want him to. I want him to understand this discussion. So that's good enough, right? And we've explained how it works with the globe on an extended flat plane for GPs to work on. On a globe in a globe is a shortcut to describing how the globe describes it. No need to put in the extra flat.
My mic probably echoing too. Probably have to get rid of that. That's just crazy.